Hi and welcome to today's video. Today we are going to talk about self-love and core wounding. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Lana and I'm a body-oriented psychotherapist. On this channel we are discussing the topics of embodiment, personal development and spirituality. So first, what is core wounding? Core wounding is basically the deepest wound that we have. It can be betrayal, abandonment, the feeling that we are not real, that we don't have a right for our agency, for our authenticity. Core wounding usually happens in our early childhood, but it can also be connected to transgenerational trauma. Why is core wounding so important? Why are we addressing it, especially in the topic of self-love? Because usually our whole life is centered around that core wounding. So everything that we perceive as issues in our life stem from that one core wounding. The way we choose partners in our life, the way we handle money, the way we approach success, the way we manage our health. So all of these different areas in our life are basically a consequence of this core wounding. Each one of us will have a moment in our life when we will have issues in one area of our life. But if you really look deeper into it, you will understand that the base is usually that core wounding. I can share my personal story just to give you an example so that this maybe becomes more embodied. One of my core wounding was that I feel like there is never enough for me, and that I will not receive enough. So then I was choosing partners where I felt like I needed to chase them, whether they were not into me or whether they were ill, so they literally couldn't offer me more. I felt like there was never enough money. But when there was more money flowing into my life, I started to feel afraid that I would lose it all. So no matter what happened in my outside world, I would either be afraid that there wouldn't be enough of it, or that I wouldn't be able to receive it, I wasn't able to receive it, or that I would lose it all. So regardless of the outside circumstances, this wound was always active. So how does it look like? We have this core wounding, let's say fear of abandonment, and we are not conscious. Probably we're not fully conscious of it, because we then created defense systems on top of that, or protection patterns. And I just want to say that there is nothing wrong with that. It's a good thing that we have these protection patterns, because otherwise some things, life would be unbearable at moments, right? But what happens when we have so many defense mechanisms, we end up desiring life that would in a way respond to our core wounding. So then we fantasize about life where we can fully be who we are. We fantasize about, oh, I need to achieve more things so that I could feel worthy. I need people to like me so that I could feel that I have the right to exist. I need to feel somebody who will be unconditionally there for me so that I will never be abandoned again. And these are all actually wants of an inner child. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that we are now adults. And as adults, we are either too demanding, or we are either fantasizing about things that we literally cannot own, because children don't have responsibilities, but we as an adults have responsibilities. And if we are fantasizing a life where we don't have to work, where we're just millionaires lying on a beach, to be a millionaire, we need to have the sense of ownership of our life. We need to be able to handle this amount of money or energy. We also need to have this sense of responsibility, dedication, that all comes from the adulthood, from the grown-up inside of us. And if we are trying to avoid that, that means that we are still in that child, in that core wounding, where maybe the child in this specific case had to take responsibilities for their parents. So then it ends up fantasizing about life of freedom. or a life where they can literally be children and play and be free and be spontaneous. So when you think about these defense mechanisms and how they work, we are actually projecting our beliefs into our surroundings. So we basically see this wounding all around us. We rarely see the world as it truly is. And the question, the philosophical question is, what is the nature of reality? Because we don't see the world as it is, we see it as we are. So then we end up having a lot of belief systems about how people are, or, oh, you know, everybody will betray you, you shouldn't trust anyone, or maybe, you know what men are like, they are just never going to respect you, men don't respect women, or whatever your core wounding is. So then we create belief systems based on which we live. That's why it's always good to reflect, okay, is this how it really is, or is this my belief system? That's why I always recommend to practice mindfulness, to dive deep into the body and into ourselves and see, okay, what's happening inside of me? How do I perceive myself? How do I react to something? Because when we're mindful, then we can receive so much of treasure in form of answers. Okay, I'm actually afraid. Or, okay, I feel like I need to set boundary here. My boundary was crossed here. So we don't end up just hating somebody. We realize, okay, I can take responsibility to have stronger boundaries. Or I can take responsibility not to engage with people who will never respond to my needs. Now, when I say respond to my needs, I don't say fulfill my needs. It's a difference when somebody is responding to our needs and when somebody is fulfilling our needs. Because when we want somebody to fulfill our needs, we're basically want that from this inner child. Because as babies, yes, our parents were literally responsible for our needs. But now as an adults, we are responsible for our needs. And of course, in a relationship, why would we stay with somebody who never responds to our need? When it comes to practicing mindfulness, it's important to understand that everything around us has no meaning unless we give it to it. So it is up to us to choose what meaning do we give to things around us. Now this really depends on our consciousness, not on our ego self or our ego will. So the best thing to do is practice this observer. Okay, I just see things, I give them no meaning. Things around me, people around me, situations around me. If something upsets you, okay, this upsets me because I give it a meaning. But this actually has no meaning, or has a meaning that I can't even see in this moment. And when we practice this objectivity, when we practice the observer, it grounds us. We stay more present. And when we are present, we are not reactive, but we are rather opened. We are more open so that we can allow the flood of soul, or the flow of soul. And then we can see, okay, what do I truly feel about this? From this deep part of me, from this essence of who I am, how do I truly perceive this? What is the nature of this? What is the reality behind this? So the question then is what to do with this core wounding. You know, the moment we start asking ourselves questions like, who am I? What do I truly long for? Not what I want from my ego self, but what do I truly long for? It's when we receive, so to say, awakening, when we receive this call to adventure, so to say, and then we can look into this core wounding. Because, you know, the thing is, as much as these defense mechanisms serve their purpose, once we feel more connection to our essence, we build stronger foundations. We have something that is deep, strong and fundamental that we can lean on to, so that we can look at this core wounding. We don't do it alone, basically. And then when we look at this core wounding, we're not trying to get rid of it, because it's so important that we understand that this core wounding it shaped us. It's who we are. It's part of our personality. And that is okay. And it's okay to be triggered. It's okay to know that in the future we still might be triggered by certain things. But what is the huge difference is that now that inner child also have a grown-up. In my case, that little Lana now has a grown-up Lana, a grown woman who can be there for her, who can nourish her, who can say to her, hey, it's okay, there will be enough for you, I am here for you. Who can say, it already is enough. Look at all the things that we have. Let's enjoy this together. So now we as grown-ups can offer our inner children new experience. And once we allow ourselves to receive and to embrace this new experience, it's when we start expanding. You know, we don't change, we expand. It's so important that we understand this. We expand. So everything that we are stays there, but we expand. And then we have different and more experiences that bring wisdom at the end of the day. And for that reason, it's so important that once and for all we stop neglecting those inner children, trying to change them, trying to recreate that core wounding by abandoning them or betraying them, but to really accept them and be there unconditionally for this core wounding, for this inner child that desperately needs us, and then offer it a different experience. That is the essence of self-love. Here are some of the questions that you can ask yourself in any situation where you find yourself in. If I make this decision, am I saying yes to life or no to life? If I go there or take this project or something, will I love myself? Will that support love for myself? Or will it draw me further away from loving myself? Where is my yes to life and where is my no to life? You know, sometimes yes to life means that we allow ourselves to be angry. We allow ourselves to be furious. And sometimes our no to life can look like we are so compassionate and we love everyone, but we are actually further away from the truth of our own feelings when we do that. This is just something to ponder. The way to understand this core wounding is to be there for ourselves, is to understand our patterns and to understand where does this stem from. And one of the ways to do that is through therapy. And I am offering a free intro session, and I will leave you a link in the description of this video where you can book that. And thank you so much for being here, and I will see you soon.